Now, Rishi Sunak has been criticised after a man who gave $5 million to the Conservative Party was awarded a knighthood. Well, businessman Mohammed Mansour, who's a senior treasurer at the party, was knighted for business, charity and political service. Well, I'm joined in our studio in Westminster by our political correspondent, Katherine Foster. Katherine, welcome back to the show. Pleasure to have you as ever. Don't honours get given out all the time to people who give loads of money to political parties, and why is this any different?
Well, it certainly seems that way. Of course, we had cash for honours scandal under Labour, didn't we? But Rishi Sunak, you know, it's Good Friday, and yet again, bad headlines. And of course, this man, Mohammed Mansour, £5 million donation that he gave, that at the time was the biggest single donation to the Conservative Party for 20 years. So a very, very big deal. But this comes just 2 or 3 weeks after the almighty row that we had over the £10 million that Frank Hester had given, and then the comments about Diane Abbott emerged, and the Conservatives are keeping that money. Of course they are. They've got a general election to fight. But really, it's just that the bad headlines for Rishi Sunak just go on and on and on. And indeed, the bad news for the Prime Minister.
And Annalise Dodds hit out at the Prime Minister earlier on for recommending this honour. Should we have a listen to what she said?
It seems to be an almost automatic pass now under the Conservatives, and particularly the individual Mr Mansour, who was last January, the biggest ever donor to the Conservatives, £5 million at that stage, the biggest individual donation that had been given, then seeming to have that automatic pass through to receiving an honour under Rishi Sunak. I think, if anything, it demonstrates yet again his weakness, that he's focused on internal party issues all of the time rather than on the needs of our country.
Well, I seem to recall Tony Blair giving a lot of honours away to his mates. But anyway, I digress. Mohammed Mansour wasn't the only person who was honoured.
No, Christopher Nolan, the director of Oppenheimer, and his wife, a number of Conservative MPs, Tracy Crouch, a former sports minister, Mark Spencer, the farming minister, and Philip Davies, of course, who used to present on this channel. He was on a little bit earlier. Let's see what he had to say.
Philip, the one question I have to ask is what have you done to deserve it?
Well, that's not really for me to answer, Dawn, is it? To be perfectly honest, I didn't award this to myself. It was awarded to me, so it's not for me. It's not for me to decide that. That's for other people, and people will have their own opinion about whether any honour is merited or not. And you only have to look at social media, and you'll see that some people think it's the best decision that Rishi Sunak's ever made, and some people think it's an absolute disgrace. And 'twas ever thus, I suppose, but it's not for me to say whether I deserve it or not, or what I've done. It's for, like I say, I did award it to myself.
Do you think you deserve it?
Well, look, I think probably. I mean, I've never been in this position before, but people feel. But I think, certainly from my point of view, I certainly feel that there's lots more deserving people than me to be honoured. But you know, I'm still immensely proud.
A feisty exchange there earlier on. And talking of which, yesterday Chris Hope sat down with Sir Keir Starmer and asked him again about Angela Rayner and the Council House. This is something that just isn't going away in a hurry.
This story's been rumbling on for weeks. It's not going away because we still haven't got to the bottom of it. Now, Angela Rayner has said repeatedly that this was all checked out by the lawyers, by the advisors. There's no capital gains tax to pay. Sir Keir Starmer has accepted that. Said his team have seen the legal advice. He's satisfied. But the questions won't go away, partly because the Conservative Party are making hay with this, as you would expect, and partly because this is a woman who ultimately could be our next Deputy Prime Minister. Now, the numbers, the amount of money potentially that she might have owed, about £1,500, not a lot. Nadhim Zahawi, of course, had to give over about £5 million. But the point is, she is Housing Secretary. She would expect other people to answer these questions. And the basic issue is, if there were no capital gains tax liable, that's either because this house that she sold, she'd improved it so much there was nothing to pay, or that she had declared it as her main residence. even though it sounds like she didn't live in it. Now, she could choose to explain it. It's got to be one or the other. And I think until she does, these questions are going to continue being asked.
Great stuff. Thank you, Katherine Foster. Always excellence. Now, I'm joined by the former Labour Minister, Dennis McShane. Now, Dennis, welcome to the show. Hope you're having a cracking Easter thus far. The Angela Rayner situation isn't going anywhere in a hurry, as we just said. Ms Rayner was meant to be Sir Keir Starmer's trump card, a way to get the working classes on board. Could she become the biggest millstone, however, around his neck?
No, Martin. I mean, good luck to the Conservative Party and the very, very ultra-conservative press and media ranking this up, £17,000 or something technical profit compared to Rishi Sunak giving an honour to a guy who gives him £5 million and moves up into becoming a knight. Or this Frank Hester chap with his appalling racist and misogynist and incitation to sort of attack an MP. And the Conservatives are still brushing it away. They haven't even returned the money. So, I mean, good luck, good luck, good luck. Let me tell you something. Most MPs are registered in 2, even 3 places to live. It's the nature of the job. I don't believe Angela Rayner's myself. I don't know. Obviously don't know anything much about it, but it is quite clear that a lot of lawyers have gone over this. Another Tory MP in Manchester has said, "Please open up the investigations again." And the police always do that when they're put under pressure politically. This is a political stunt. I don't really think, it's never been mentioned to me on any doorstep canvassing in the last few weeks. I just don't think this is much of an issue.
Don't you think that seems to be a concurrent theme, though, Dennis? When the Labour Party do something, it's, there's nothing to see here. A bit like the beers and the curries in Durham, nothing to see here. But yet when it happens with the Conservatives, it's always heads must roll, heads must roll. Isn't this about double standards?
Well, not on my part, because I've consistently argued when I was in government, I've consistently written, until we get democracy to pay for democracy, there'll always be a stink over this funding. And it doesn't matter if it's Labour or the Conservatives. The Tories are just a little bit naughtier, Martin. I mean, I think you might agree on this, as were the Liberal Democrats when they existed as a party. And that is why I just wish to God we could abolish all of this and simply say no honours, no nothing, no external money. Democracy pays for democracy.
OK, and out on the road yesterday, Sir Keir Starmer in Dudley said something you think you'd never hear from the Labour Party, certainly not his predecessor, Jeremy Corbyn. There's no magic money tree, he said, which of course is absolutely true. The biscuit tin is empty, £2.7 trillion in national debt. Dennis McShane, is this an acknowledgement that there's no money left? And if people expect there to be some sort of quantum shift, some rapid miracle, some regrowth of public services when Labour Party get in, Sir Keir Starmer is planting the seeds, not of the magic money tree, but of reality.
Indeed so. But the guy who did it first was Gordon Brown. You remember him, Martin? You're probably a bit of a young man then. And he said he would apply conservative spending limits for the first 2 years of the Labour government in 1997. And he and Tony Blair never looked back. Now, there were huge angers, revolts. I can remember 70 of my colleagues rebelling on lone parent benefits being held at a standstill, but it was the right decision and the Labour Party looked stronger for it. So I actually do think that surely Rachel Reeves made pretty clear in her big speech a couple of weeks ago and constantly making clear, Labour, it can't be a spendthrift party. We've inherited the Liz Truss disaster. We've inherited the empty barrel of nothing from the Conservative Party. It's a huge repair job the country now faces. And I think they're making up their mind that they're not going to entrust it to Sir Mansour and Sir Philip Davis. Bless Philip, I like him very much, and Rishi Sunak and all the rest of it. They want a change.
Well, Dennis McShane, they've inherited a biscuit tin that's empty thanks to lockdowns that all of the parties voted for, including the Labour Party. Enjoy your Easter, but don't eat an entire egg at once. That's what the NHS said, not me.